What's up, everybody, and welcome to Dad's Parenting Boldly podcast. I'm your host, Carl Aline, and today's interview is sponsored by Dance Where You Are Youth online dance classes, helping dads to keep their kids active, taking online dance classes. Check us out at dancewhereyouareyouth.net. And if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the subscriber button. Episode 13, How to Have a Positive Mindset and Find Your Inner Groove in Life. Hope you enjoy. All right, everyone, we are here with the man, the myth, the legend, Brice, Professor Locke, Groove and Mindset Coach. You weren't expecting that, huh?
No, that was probably the best intro I ever got.
Hey, well, hey, we love to have fun on here, man. It's interesting because, dad life is so cool, but society gives it such a negative connotation. So, we got to make it fun, right?
Oh yeah, dad life is crucial.
Right? Sure is. So it's great to have you on here. I don't know how it was just via Instagram. We just connected and we're going to do something else. And I'm like, you know what? This would be great to do a podcast too. Because we talked about having a conversation online, just talking about parenting. So everything aligned.
Gosh, yeah.
God knew what he was doing.
Yeah, man. And just the fact that I'm in this place right now where, I've been a little bit shy just because of recent setbacks and recent falls from grace. And even though I got myself back on track, the things that I've learned and the fire in me to kind of like put some information out there, my experience and stuff like that as like a lesson or a warning or just information, whatever, just to share. But I've been kind of shy and timid about it just because of my history and the things that I've done. I've kind of let that overshadow, but at the same time, been praying hard, like, yo, help me to be bold, help me because the stuff that I need to say, I wish I had heard somebody saying it. And when I was younger, I would have probably made the same or as many mistakes as I had. And so, but again, keeping myself shy and timid. And then again, like you said, he knows what he's doing, because you and I just randomly have this conversation, and it ends up being you have a podcast dedicated to dads, which young men and dads is who I'm mostly talking to, with the exception of my group program. So like it's like a push. Like, all right, Brice, this is what you asked for, so here you go. This is your start. So I'm super happy, man. Like, this is dope.
Hey man, let me tell you, I will never underestimate that stuff's just powerful, because all that happened it's amazing how it's just all choreographed, and then even the stories that we have, like you mentioned, I wish I knew I wish someone told me what I knew now, and I'm like, I feel the same way. I gotta share it, it's and even what I've been through, these stories we go through, we could share with people and help them to progress and grow and not have to go through what we went through,
Yeah. But we're supposed to. Like, we're all in a relay race.
Right on. Oof.
So we're supposed to. Like, nobody wants to die in their casket holding on to the baton that they should have passed.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you got the young kid, you got the next generation trying to pry it out my hands because I got the death grip on it. It shouldn't be that way. They shouldn't have to fight for that information.
Right on, brother. Well, hey, for those who don't know, our audience who don't know you, Brice, tell us a little bit about you, your family life and your professional life and what you do and the whole groove and mindset coach. Your life is interesting, man. It's great.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna have to. Oof. Yeah, it's okay. So, my life is a freaking movie, man.
Love it.
But yeah, just to get it started, my name is Brice Johnson. Brice McIvory Johnson is my full name. My middle name is my dad's first name. 36 years old. I have two boys, one 7-month-old, one 5 years old, by my beautiful partner in crime. Her named Katrina. She's Danish, and we met out here in Denmark on one of my travels. And yeah, I've been dancing for 15 plus years. The original crew was called Face the Flave. That was formed by way of Philadelphia. Two members from Philadelphia, Mark and Drew, Riot and Epic. And they brought us into the crew that they were starting, which we called Face the Flave. And over time of us really cultivating locking and especially Campbell locking, we formed the Hood Lockers because we really identified with the lockers, especially Don Campbell Lock and his vision. And so we called ourselves kind of the Hood Locker, just to preserve, not only preserve what he's done, but then bring our influences, our neighborhoods, our everything into it in our authentic and very own way to help us carry the torch. And so that is very short reason as to why we call ourselves the Hood Lockers. Epic has one of the most best descriptions that, I would do a disservice trying to repeat it the way he does, but it's the same ballpark though. And it's very much just about preserving Campbell locking and Don Campbell lock vision while still doing it the way we do and the only way we know how and understand where we come from that gives us the ability to do that. And so, the Hood Lockers really did a lot for me as far as finding a tool for a voice that I didn't really have up until that point, and that was dance. And so, and again, that's one of those things we laugh and call it the blueprint because one day we sat in the kitchen deciphering, breaking down and cracking the code of how we met. Oh, you met because of this person who did this. We had that person. This is back in high school, and like just realizing how close and distant we were at the same time. And again, one of those things like I mentioned to you before, like divine appointment. Like, it's like, God, I believe God brought us, all six of us in each other's lives, including Construct, who's our newest member, but all six of us at the time that he did. And so, and it shows in the fact that we are brothers the way we are. We even went a period of almost 2 years not talking to each other, and found our way back to each other like we never missed a beat, which we'll never do because we're just too on point when it comes to our steps. But it's just the fact that, like, it really showed that there's a family unit there. It's more than just a crew. Like, we're brothers. And even though we might be fighting and not talking to each other right now, we still love each other. So that did a lot for me. And, through my journey, I moved to LA. That was a very depression-heavy time period for me. Went to Arizona State, helped them with their curriculum for their urban dance department, which I think they've changed now due to everything going on around the world, the term urban. But, I started the process, and then Why Not came in and took over heavy, and like really just did a lot there. After I left Arizona, a friend of mine out here had me come out to Denmark, and I started coming back every 3 to 6 months teaching, and the rest is history, man. Like, so at this point in my life, I'm a dancer. I've been a dancer. I work part-time as a greenkeeper at a golf club, keeping the golf course looking dope and nice.
Fresh.
And I also am an actor, mostly commercial work. And I've done things like with Lego and all the phone companies out here, a Barilla brand. They do some crackers or something like that. So there's all kinds of things I'm involved in. I try not to limit. I adopted the Jordan Peterson philosophy of saying yes. As long as saying yes to opportunities, as long as it makes sense, and that you can do it. But you should always be in the mind frame of saying yes where it makes sense, both with schedule, where it makes sense with family, where it makes sense with you're not doing too much. Right. So, and it's done well for me. Even through my dark periods of my knucklehead and my insane phase, it still kept me afloat. And I'm just kind of glad that, by the grace of God, like, my career was preserved because, this far in, it's kind of hard to realize what else I would be doing. which oddly enough, I'm transitioning into something else and not understanding how this is happening. So that's the gist. I hope that didn't bore you guys too much.
Oh, people's life stories are powerful because you never know what people on the other end are going through. And, and there's some dots in there that, us as men, as dads, we could identify with, what you said earlier too, with, dance, even helping you to find your voice and it being a tool to find your voice. That's powerful because for me, dance is in my background, dancing in aspects of the arts, and having a voice as a teenager is so crucial. That time when you're not understood and you don't understand yourself. I mean, look, we older, we don't understand ourselves fully, but that time, that stage and age where the transitions are happening and there's so much that's about to happen when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, and just as you're growing, but having a tool like that to be able to use your voice, even if at that point, even if you can't fully articulate it, that is such a powerful launching pad for the things you do as a dad. So that really resonated with me when you said that, And
it's funny you say as a dad. I'm sorry to cut you off. Actually.
That's okay.
But I just got hit with something when you said that, because it's something funny you say, as a dad, because when I look at it now, back then, I equate the tool kind of like my 5-year-old. He'll take something and use it for something that it's not even designed for, and be like, yeah, this hairbrush is a sword. And it's like, all right, cool, go with that. But it's funny because I didn't use it took me almost 34 years, not 34 years, but it took me almost until I was 34 to actually realize what I was meant to use dance for. So I was still using it as a tool, but I was using it as the tool that I imagined it to be at that time. So it was just fun. I just thought about that, because it's kind of like how, my son will take anything and figure out how to make it a ninja weapon.
Right.
And it's like, so I equate that. It was kind of like in my infancy and 5-year-old and childlike phase with it, but it still helped the same way that helps my son develop his imagination and his coordination and motor skills. It helped me develop some sort of, in a way, a sense of communication, and helped me develop subconscious understandings that later manifest themselves. So I literally just thought about that the minute you said as a dad, and it just took me to my son, and I just went into that tangent. And I'll go on a lot of tangents during this interview, just so you know. So.
No, that's all good. That's all good. No, it does still stay in the same lane of what we're talking about, though, even being a dad and just because most of our listeners are dads, and just for them to hear that, as far as it being a platform, and even you being able to relate that to your son at this age where you're at right now, that's powerful. You gotta, as dads, we're managing things, we're managing life, we're managing our household, and for little, I won't even say little, but quote unquote little stories like that are so massive, because that's part of your development, that's part of his development, that's part of the development of your whole household, So
yeah, man, yes, indeed, man.
I appreciate that tangent.
Yeah, cool.
And also, you're a groove and mindset coach, right? And when I saw that, I was like, and then I also saw the video. Was it a TEDx talk?
Yes. Yep.
That was powerful, man.
In the city called Host.
That was powerful. And you guys get a chance, and by the end of the interview too, I want you to let us know where we could find you at too. I love for people to see that interview. That was powerful, man. I was like, whoa, when I saw that. So.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, that was the start of where I'm at right now. Like being up there as a dancer with neuroscientists, people who are like doing massive things in the world. I'm talking professors, neuroscientists, psychologists, all these, and then the dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to impact them on top of that. Like, and I struggle, like there's a certain process that they take you through in order to get to that point on the stage. Through that whole entire process, I struggled to the point where even when I finally got what they call the script, but even when I finally got to that, even on that day, I still didn't feel right. And I just said, okay, God, you know what I need to say. So whatever I need to say, if it's what I wrote down and memorized, cool. But whatever. So when I got up there, everybody memorizes their talk. When I got up there and the lights came on, I went blank. And there's a moment in the beginning where you see where I went blank. I just covered it up, but I started talking and my throat cracked, and I said, "Oh, that was a bad start," and got everybody laughing. But that was where I went blank, and right away, and this is where dance comes back into play.
Right,
the freestyler kicked in. I know my life. I knew what message I was trying to get across. So I just looked up, took a quick look up, and then started talking. And the person on the side who had a copy of script, he kept trying to get my attention but then he kind of gave up because he realized, okay, he's not saying the exact same things, but he's still right on point with the direction. Right. And so he just backed off. And yeah, and and it ended up being something that, to this day still resonates with people. And I'm extremely thankful for that. And it launched me into where I'm at right now with the groove and mindset coaching.
Right on. That's what's up. That's what's up. And so for our dads listening, right, as far as just you're talking about positivity and having a positive mindset, right, and finding your inner groove. Can you speak to that? Like, what are the first steps that dads can take as far as having a positive mindset and finding their inner groove in life?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so my groove course, actually, you would think it's about dance, and everybody who jumps in the course says, okay, it's nothing what I expected, but everything that I needed. And the reason why is because I took groove and formulated principles around it. And basically what groove represents is identity. Because I think that's what we're faced with as dads the minute we have a kid.
Right.
Is this identity that I kept up this whole time actually a real identity? And we don't ask that question doesn't pop up until we have a kid, especially when we have a son.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's what I'm speaking for, because I only have 2 boys.
Yeah.
And realizing that I had to guide them to be a man, I cracked under the pressure and fear. I actually cracked. It took me about a year. A lot of things happened, and maybe we'll get into that, maybe we won't. But basically, I had to really just take away everything I thought I know and just get myself built back up. So and through that process is how this course, which is called Grooves Before Moves, which means Grooves Before Moves basically means in dance, technique means nothing if you don't have groove behind it. Because everybody, you and I can do an up, down, lock, or a pas de bourrée, or whatever step, or running man. We both can do that. So that's not what makes us special. That's not what makes us unique. That's not what gives us purpose. So then what I realized was what does is groove. The groove is what breathes life into the steps, the technique that we learn. Right. And we put so much effort as dance, and this is, so again, I'm walking through the process. So I'm looking at the dance community, especially this generation, and they put so much effort on technique, especially out here in Europe. Everything is about technique, running drills, technique. And it started making me think about people who are education. Let me get education. So I get this education, I'm gonna get this job. So all these things we're doing that are external, and not once do we stop and say, all right, but who am I? And how does this, so who am I and how does this technique fit into that? So basically, when I say grooves before moves, and the subtitle is never sacrifice your groove to find the move. What I'm basically saying is, it's you, your authenticity, your identity, and your purpose before education, before technique, before skill sets, because those things are going to be used to properly express and fulfill or manifest your purpose, your business, your dance, all that. And so I go through a 6-week process of, one, understanding groove as it pertains to dance, but also groove as your foundation for your identity and who you are and your authenticity. And then we take each week as a new theme to get you to ultimately finding your groove basically, okay, this is my identity. And then at the end of it, we do a Venn diagram, or by the end of it, we do a Venn diagram, which once you know who you are, now we take your story and everything that makes you who you are, and now we whittle it down and find your purpose. And then once you find your purpose, now you know why you're dancing. Now you know why you're going through all these classes, because you want to get the skill set and the tools to be able to do this, to be able to go and create shows that highlight whatever social cause. Or like me, my job is to teach, my job is to help create leaders, starting with being a leader of yourself. And then from being a leader, then being significant members of the community with the possibility of creating change. That's my goal. That's my whole mission. And I've been that way since I was a kid. I just didn't recognize it back then. So I've been that way. I can't stand. I get angry when I see people not living their potential, not respecting their potential, not even seeing how much potential they actually have. I get angry because I suffered from that for almost 33 years. And so no matter how good I got at dance, you see what I'm saying? It don't matter. The external stuff doesn't matter, because I didn't see my potential and I was walking around without purpose. So I was trying to do all these things in dance that had nothing to do with what I was supposed to be doing. And so I felt unfulfilled. Once I found who I was, I found my groove, my true groove. And then I realized, oh, shoot. So all this time I've been learning about dance, and I've had this fascination with groove, because that is how I'm going to teach people how to find themselves, how to dismantle their fears and their insecurities so that they can fully express themselves in their business, in their dance, in their art, whatever it is, in their family, whatever it is. This helps me. This program helps me as a dad. And so, yeah, that's where it came from. It's been a driving force behind something that I've been trying to do my whole entire life. I've just been abusing it, not on purpose, but abusing it because there was lack of knowledge. And when there's lack of knowledge and wisdom, then abuse is inevitable.
Right.
And so that's what I was doing. It wasn't until I got the knowledge and then applied it with wisdom that now I understand. So no longer am I chasing to be the top dancer on tours and in every music video and in movies. I'm not chasing that no more, because that's not ever what I'm supposed to be doing. That's not where my role is in dance. My role is to teach people to find that in them so that they can be that if that's what they want to be. So I help people explore themselves. I don't even teach anything, actually. What I do is I help you explore yourself.
Right. Which is good. That's what a good coach does. A good coach can help draw you out and help you to connect the dots.
Yeah.
But what I loved about what you said, that the whole idea of people finding their identity, and then also discovering their purpose. Am I correct by saying that?
Absolutely. Because I believe everybody's born with that. You're not born to just live. You're born because you have something significant to offer to, and when I say that, I don't mean that everybody's supposed to be an influencer or if that's even a thing, whatever that means.
Right.
But everybody's not going to be Tony Robbins.
Right.
But your purpose might be in your family.
Yeah.
Your purpose might be in your neighborhood, on your block.
Right.
So you don't. So when I say finding your purpose, what I mean is finding real success, which is becoming who you're supposed to be, becoming you. That's where success is, because everything else then will attract.
Right. No, that's powerful. Now I resonate with that 100%, because, like they say, hey, everyone's fingerprints are not identical. Everyone's fingerprints different. Everyone's here for a specific reason. And yeah, you're right. You don't have to be a Tony Robbins, or if you're an artist, you don't have to be a, Justin Timberlake, or no matter what lane you're in, you got to be you and the best version of yourself. And you said fullest potential too. That right there.
That's going to be effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And even as a fellow coach, I could identify with that, because when you do that, that's how you change the world.
Yes.
That's how
you change the world by changing your environment. Well, you change the world by changing your mind.
Right.
Because where you're at right now is a result of all your past thoughts.
Right.
So you want to change the future, you got to change your mind first. Once you begin to transform the way you think about your stuff, that's when you begin to start changing the world. The world is already starting to change because you started doing that.
Powerful. That's powerful. So that is within the first step, right? Just identity, purpose, change, which includes, and the result of that, you change your mind, right?
Exactly. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, because we're not really in a fight with people. We're in a fight with our minds.
Right.
We think people are against us and stuff like that, but really we're against ourselves, because our insecurities is the loudest voice is your insecurity and your fears. The quietest voice is the voice you should be listening to, because that's the voice that's like, no, just do it. Or nah, apologize. Nah,
that's
you know
a calm
what?
voice.
Yeah, because it doesn't fight for attention, because it's secure. It's secure. And once you connect with that voice, then you become secure.
Wow. Brother, that's powerful, man. I appreciate you sharing that. That's a quote right there, man. People need to hear that. For the people in the back, people in the front, everyone needs to hear that.
Yeah, man. Nah, I think that, man, it's a beauty. This space that I'm in right now, like I'm thankful for it, because I know it's only for a season.
Yeah.
And so I'm just really trying to go hard with it, because it's a gift that's been given to me, and at any point, it could go. So I don't want to squander it, man. Like, I'm thankful that, with everything that I've done, and the life that I've led, and the lies, the cheating, the manipulation, and all that stuff, and then I'm able to have my life turned around, and then at the same time be able to impact people and have the authority to do that like that, I don't take that lightly. And there's nothing that will allow me to be prideful about that, because it's like, I know what I'm capable of. I know of the evil that I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Which is why I push towards the highest good, because I know I've lived what I'm capable of, and I never want to get back to that again. I don't want to put my boy's mother through that again. I don't want to put my family and the people around me through that again. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to feel that way ever again. So because I connected and identified with how bad I can be, and accept that and accept that as a reality, that is what's helping me to be able to be in the highest good, and still trying to reach that. Like, I'm seeking it. It's not even a place that I'm at, but it's allowing me to be on that side. That alone I'm thankful for. That alone I'm thankful for. The rest of this is like cherry on top. But just to be in the headspace that I'm in right now, I'm just thankful for. Like, if I just live the rest of my life like that, cool.
Right on. And that's a bonus right there. Just another aspect is having that gratitude. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Your journey. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. And so as far as like even taking another step, with having a positive mindset and finding your inner groove in life, what would be like would you say would be a second step?
Well, that's the second week. And the second week is titled, and I'm actually working on I'm actually very scarily, like this is where I'm still dealing with my insecurities, working on a book, because not everybody can do the course. Then you can read the book and get it out of it. But this goes into the second week, which would be the second chapter, which is let me see you 1-2 step. And this whole idea is that, first of all, in street dance, because that's my education, in street dance, that's what I came up in. And hip hop, let's take every step. You can trace almost every step, and I'm still researching this, so I'm about 98% sure that every step can be traced back to a 2-step. So basically, I walk through that process. That listen, this is how I teach in my classes. Okay, you're struggling with this technique, this specific move. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's see if we can figure out what two-step this move is that's in this move. Okay, now we see what two-step it is. Okay, so now that we know what two-step is in the move, is it the side to side? Is the front to back? Like which two-step? Is it crossing? Which two-step or variation of the two-step is it? Once we find that out, okay, now let's slowly start putting the pieces together to make it the finished product, which is that move, the dodger, the pas de bourrée, whatever it is. And so then I go into this metaphor about this clock who has a breakdown because it realized it has to tick 2 ticks per second, this many ticks per year or per month, this many ticks per year, this many ticks, and it had a breakdown. And the psychologist said, well, how many ticks do you have to do at a time? And he's like, 1. And he's like, okay then. So just focus on the first tick before you get to the top, And so that is what I get them to see is that now that you know who you are, let's not be in a hurry. Because now we gotta start from the two-step. Because now you know who you are. You didn't know who you are for however old you are, that's how long it's been that you without knowing who you are. So now that you know who you are again, we gotta take one two-step. And then even if something gets difficult, okay, well, get back to basically going back to the basics. Getting back to your foundation, because the two-step is the foundation to almost every dance step that exists in street dance, hip hop, Lindy hop, etc. Those quote unquote urban, what I like to call black dancers, or rather call black dancers is the two-step, black and Latino. So even in salsa, two-step, they're all rooted in that two-step. So it's like find your two-step in everything that you're doing. And every level that you get to, because every level, like in video games, I don't care if you get from level 1 to all the way to level 10, there's still a new boss. So you're still at level 1 of every new level that you get to. So start with your two-step. Start with your two-step. It's a new song. Think of everything you encounter as a new song. And you get acquainted with that song by getting your groove and getting in your two-step.
I love that.
So that's the next part. It also calms you down. It keeps you from thinking about what the bigger picture. Yes, you have to have vision. I'm a big fan of having vision. So that way you see the end so that you can go back and start working your way towards it. But even that, writing a book, two-step, 1 chapter at a time, 1 page at a time. That's your two-step if you're writing a book. You know what I mean? If you're an accountant, 1 number at a time, that's your two-step. If you're a lawyer, not one case at a time, but 1 piece of evidence at a time. 1 story at a time, 1 witness at a time. Everything in life is rooted in, or it's done most effectively when it's done from understanding and finding the two-step in it first.
Wow, that's finding the basics. Now, would that be like your basics or basic values, basic principles, or would it be all combined?
It's all combined because it's all combined. You said it right there. Basic values and principles. That's not even a two-step. That's just the bounce. That's a head nod.
The head nod.
That's the head nod. That's your basic principles, and then you let everything. When I say never sacrifice your groove to find a move, what I mean is you get in your groove first. You groove in your two-step, and then you let everything else has to fit into your groove. So if you're doing a step and you have to force it into your groove, you probably shouldn't be doing that step. It's probably not the time to do that step.
Right.
So if it feels forced, whatever it is, it's probably not the time to do it. It doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. It just means it might not be the right time to do it. Especially if you're looking at, let's look at life as a song. You might not be at that part of the song. It might not be until the bridge that you can bring that move in. So, or the hook. So it's just really taking your time.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I appreciate that with just finding your basics.
Yeah.
All that combines. That's powerful, man. Because reality speaking, us as dads, us as men, but also us as people, it's just good to get the basics. You know, for me, and I know for me, the way my mind works, if I can just get back to the basics of something, I can start one, or I could continue doing what I was doing, because when we get sidetracked, that could jack our whole week or season up.
Exactly. And especially as men, because when things are going crazy, we tend to have this tendency that we got to push.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just gotta push through. That whole grind thing, that whole grind mentality is like, oh, I just gotta push it, gotta push it. It's like, no, you're forcing it. Now you're forcing it.
Right.
And we have to just understand, you know, that there is a time to rest.
Right.
You know, there needs to be a time to rest, you know, and recharge. And that's one of the things I learned when I, you know, just getting back into my faith and just, you know, just seeing how much, you know, God rested, and seeing how much, you know, Jesus sleeping in the boat during a storm. It's like, you know, it's like, okay, you know what? I definitely need to be rest. Like, I need to rest more. And the more I did that, the better it was, the better disciplined I was at keeping my principles and keeping my foundation intact, because I wasn't tired. Because that's when we lose our willpower, is when we're tired and hungry.
Right.
And that's why as men, we snap so, a lot of times men snap so much, not necessarily in a violent way, but just like short-tempered, and don't have time for anything else. And just because we're depleting ourselves. We're depleting ourselves of that surplus. And we don't realize if we just rested and recharged, read a book or something, like you'll get that back.
Right. The basics, man. Let me tell you. And that's one of the biggest issues us as men have, as dads have, the whole patience thing. And what I share with what I teach with my coaching is, hey, listen, with our patience is, I mean, one, of course, we talk about the coaching and we're helping people connect the dots, but helping to give people the principles. The power of patience is you're able to create an environment of so much peace, love, patience, fun, joy within your household when you can have that patience. But it's amazing you say the basics. I'm like, whoa, right there.
Here's an example with my son, you know, just for all of us dads on here. Just the other day, you know, I was trying to get some chill time, and then I hear my son's mother, she's upset with him, and he's running around crying. And you know, as dads, you want to be like, all right, what's the problem? What's going on? And already there, you're putting everybody on defense.
Right.
You know, and so what I did was I was cognizant of that. And for me, I was just like, okay, Lord, before I go in there, just get me where I need to be. And so then I go in there and I say, why are you crying? And he tried to be like, I don't know. And I was like, well, you are crying for some reason, because you wouldn't be crying if there was nothing wrong. So what happened that made you cry? He was like, oh, because mom is mad at me. I was like, okay, well, why is mom mad at you? She didn't like that I did blah, blah, blah outside. I was like, oh, so she didn't like it. So that's what I was like, well, were you supposed to do that? No. Okay, so that's why mom is mad, because you did something you weren't supposed to do. Is that right? Yeah. I was like, okay, so let me get this straight. So you're basically upset because mom is upset. Yeah. I was like, okay. Do you want mom to feel better? Yeah. Do you want to feel better? Yeah. So try this. When mom comes out the bathroom, tell her you're sorry for not listening to her. That's going to make her feel better, and you're going to feel better because of that. And then but the biggest thing for that is for me is while I was having this conversation with him, getting to the basics of the problem, I watched everything change on him. As we got more into the conversation, he began to relax. As we got more into the conversation, and also about validating his feelings and all those things, like even at 5 years old, little 3, 4, whatever, is important. Because we're teaching them two things. One, we're instilling a certain type of confidence or lack thereof in themselves, depending on how we handle it and talk to them. But also, we're teaching them to process their emotions. And I watched that, and he started to loosen up, and by the end of it, he just got back into his normal self. he just needed to, one, be caught in whatever he was in because he felt alone because mom mad at him and this and the third. And then he just needed to talk it out. Now he doesn't know. He's 5 years old. He don't know that. He don't know he needs to do that. So that's why it's my responsibility as the dad to get out of my feelings because I'm stressed because everybody in the house are crying, making it about me. So instead of making it about me, which I can easily do because I can easily do that because I get emotional. So I can easily do that. But in that moment, I saw the lesson in when I don't make it about me and make it about whoever I'm talking to in that moment and what do they need. I realized my son just needs to feel better because his mom is upset at him.
That's powerful, man.
And it was crazy. Back basics. It was 1-2 step. Me and him were just 2-stepping together. That's basically what we're doing. And everybody has been in a situation where you kind of just 2-stepping, and the next thing you know, if the vibe is good and the music good, that 2-step turns into a full out. Y'all don't know what y'all just did.
Right.
And that's
right.
what happened.
Right. Man, I love that analogy. That's powerful, man. That's good stuff you got going on, man. I love it.
It's not every time, but I really saw the lesson in that moment, and It made me want to do it more.
Right. Well, Brice, you got one more step for us? What's a third step that a dad can take? And just having that positive mindset and thinking positive.
Yeah. So there's this step that comes further in the week, a chapter later on in the week, which I call dance with me. And what that whole week is teaching is that the challenges you face, like people, I watch young dancers get frustrated and feel like they can't dance because they can't get a move. And what I started to realize is that there's a scripture that in the Bible where it says, consider it pure joy when you face trials and tribulations because the gravity of your faith is being tested. With that said, with the principle in that for me, regardless of what you believe, the principle in that for me was the bigger the trial, the more equipped I am to handle it. Or in my world, the bigger the trial that I'm challenged, I'm facing, that's how big God thinks of me in order to allow me to go through that, which means I am capable of getting through it. I, again, just have to be in the mind frame that I'm going to get through it. Because every problem is temporary.
Right.
And you have to be careful to not make permanent solutions to temporary problems. And we do that a lot as men. And so you can't say, I'll say it again, you can't make permanent solutions to temporary problems. Instead, when you face a challenge, I'll say to my students, for example, when you face a challenging step, get excited because you know that eventually you're going to learn that step. And once you learn that step, you can't unlearn it, which means what just happened? You leveled up. And just the fact that you're trying this step over and over, you're better than you were prior. So it's the same thing with challenges. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong, because I'll be messing up with this too. But it's a good principle to have that, okay, when I'm facing a challenge, I need to get excited. Because once I get through this challenge, I am that much stronger than I was before. I am that much more disciplined than I was before. I am that much closer to success than I was before. I am that much closer to the family unit that I envisioned for myself than I was before. And so the reason why I say dance with me is because I say dance with the challenges rather than avoiding them. Because it's the buffalo and cow principle. I don't know if you know this, but buffaloes and cows react very opposite to storms. When a storm is coming, cows, they run away from the storm. But the storm is still coming towards them.
Yeah.
And the storm is getting bigger as it's coming towards them. Buffaloes, they run directly into the storm to get on the other side of it. So I like to say, try to be a buffalo. A lot of people like to say be a lion, so I want to be a little different. Like, no, be a buffalo, because it's like, if you run into the storm, it's going to be a lot shorter of pain or struggle than it would be if you're running away from it and just handling it in a selfish way so your feelings can be met, which is the easy way out. So it feels easy to run away from the storm because you're not feeling it yet. But by the time that storm catches up to you, you're going to wish you dealt with it. We see this, it's the same thing when you let bills. Everything that you run away, everything that you avoid gets bigger. It gets bigger. It becomes more of a problem. Next thing you know, you're consumed with the fact that you can't do it versus from the beginning when it was just a little kitten. Now it can turn into this big little lion that you were afraid of, but it used to be just a kitten. You could have dealt with that a lot easier than what you have to deal with now. And so that is the next thing, is that you're, as a father, I would say before getting married, but definitely just as a father, period, as a man, period, before you get yourself into a family situation, which all families start actually when you're married, before you even have kids. Once you have a wife, you've got a family. But that's the way I see it anyway. Deal with your demons. Deal with your trauma. If you don't feel like you have any or you don't have any, cool. Go to therapy or something just or a pastor or whatever, just to make sure.
Yeah.
It's worth it just to make sure, because take it from me, you don't deal with that, or you don't even realize it's there, and you haven't done the work, or nobody told you to do the work to make sure that there's nothing there. When you have a kid, when you get married, that's already putting the mirror in front of you. When you have a kid, I'm sure you've experienced it. I'm sure some of the other men listening have experienced that. When you have a kid, there's this period where you start questioning yourself.
Right.
And depending on where you're at, I was in a bad insecurity place. I was in a bad fear space. So those questions did not serve me well. And I became very toxic, very destructive, drug addiction, alcoholism, porn addiction, and ultimately ruining my marriage. That's why y'all hear me saying my son's mother. I'm constantly working. We lose trust in buckets and get it back in drips. And so I'm sitting there so I'm in a space right now where I'm building that trust back. By the grace of God, I've done a good job to where we're in the house again. I'm in the house again. We're together as far as parenting goes. We're even together as friends. We're even together as recognizing that we're loving each other, that we love each other deeply. The intimacy part is that part of the relationship is a struggle. But I'm in this for the long haul, and I'm in it to the end. When I made those vows. I effed up, but I made those vows, and I'm doing everything to get it back. But I am where I'm at right now because I did not deal or even have enough care for the person that I'm entering a life with to say, let me make sure when you have visitors come to your house, you're going to clean your house up.
Right.
You're going to clean your house up. Or you're going to say, excuse the mess, and maybe clean it up while you're there. But you're going to clean up. It's the same thing. If you're going to enter a life with somebody and you're going to bring somebody into your world, do the kind thing, the loving thing of making sure it's clean. Make sure there's nothing there that you overlooked. I'm telling you, especially as men, because we tend to be the most destructive with our trauma and our insecurities and our dysfunction. You know, we get real destructive with it, and we wear our dysfunction like a badge because of our pride. And if we just deal with those things, it's going to make marriage and being a father so much easier. It's still going to be challenging, but it's going to be so much easier to deal with because you can actually clear-headedly, if that's a word, deal with the issue rather than your insecurities clouding your judgment, and your fears clouding your judgment, and that trauma from back when you was a kid that you still holding on to, whether it's from your dad or your mom or whatever, cloud your judgment. I came from a household where my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict up until I was about 23, 24 years old. And by the time, and me and him, we're like best friends now. But when he first got cleaned up, I resented him. I was like, oh, now you want to do it. I'm a man now, so now you want to do it. Man, I ain't got time for that. You know? Again, running from the problem instead of dealing with it. You know, we're not, and for those guys on here that, you know, have stuff happen when they was a child, like I did, you're not responsible for happening to you when you was a kid. You're not responsible for the fact that it was projected onto you, but you are responsible for how you deal with it as an adult and as a man, especially if you're going to be bringing other people into your life.
Right.
Then you talk about two-step, that's step number one. Make sure that you are cleaned out. Make sure that you know you and your partner and your family know what they're dealing with when it comes to you. And make sure, and this is one of the hardest things to do, but sit with yourself and recognize how, for lack of a better word, the amount of evil or sin or whatever word you want to call it, allow yourself to realize how much of it you're capable of, and realize that you're capable of it. Accept that you're capable of it, because once you accept that and you're not in denial about that, it's going to make you stronger at being the good man that's already there. It's already there in you. It's just going to make you better at it. So yeah, that would be the next step. Once you figure out who you are, and that's going to already bring up some demons for some of us. But once you figure out who you are, then take it one step at a time. And as you're taking one step at a time, once you hit a bump or a challenge or a trial, get happy when you face that. You know, because when you face that, you're not going through nothing that you can't get through. Right. You're not going through nothing. I promise you that. I am living proof. I've had people say, "Oh, I hope she don't take him back." Like, and I'm not saying that to toot my horn. What I'm saying is, that's how bad I was. That's how bad I was, that people did not want us back together. You have to be pretty bad for people to not want the family unit to be together. So, and my family unit is together and actually stronger than what we were before. My relationship with my sons is stronger, especially my oldest, than what it was before. So I'm telling you, you're not going through nothing that you can't get through. And when you get through it, oh my gosh, you're going to feel like a superhero. You're going to feel like the superhero that you want to be to your family anyway. And that's what you're going to feel like. And it's the most incredible feeling. The most incredible feeling. And get your mind in that state of mind, because when you face a challenge, your brain is going to protect you from that challenge because of whatever you went through, and just because the brain naturally protects us from things. Right. So it doesn't care what it is. The brain doesn't know the difference between a cliff and somebody telling you about yourself and it makes you insecure. The brain don't know the difference. The brain just says, "Ooh, we need protection." So you gotta train your brain. You gotta train your brain to see that when your wife puts the mirror in front of you, that's a good thing. Right. And once your brain starts to recognize that's a good thing, that fear goes away, that insecurity goes away, and now you're saying, "You know what, babe? Thank you. I know I struggle with that. Thank you. You know what this is going to turn into? Wow, that's a man right there. That's my man." You know what else is going to turn into? Your kids watching that and growing up into being the men that you wanted, the men or women that you want them to be anyway. So it all starts with you. Marriage and family, the majority of responsibility is on the man. I know I don't know if it's a popular thing to say. I don't know what's going on in the social justice world, but the family unit, the primary responsibility is on us as men. And I'm not saying that to be a pressure thing. I'm saying that because we're built for that. We're built for that. So don't let those lies, like every thought that comes to your mind, you don't have to own it. A lot of it is lies anyway. So yeah, transform your mind, transform your future, take it one step at a time, know who you are, never sacrifice your groove to find the move. Because that's when you're going to start doing things to give you instant pleasure, make you feel good for the moment because you're so stressed, because you're sacrificing who you are and to get a quick fix. Whatever that is, gambling. You don't get whatever it is. Whatever your vice is, you know what it is. So whatever it is, the next time it comes up, stop that and be like, you know what? How can I approach the situation differently? How can I be a buffalo and run into the storm? That's it. That was my tangent.
That's powerful, man. I mean, one, I appreciate your humility, just even being able to share it, because as dads, as men, we need to be able to identify and empathize with one another, because this is a battle that we're all fighting together as dads. My Facebook group, I'm calling dads brothers. I'm like, all right, brothers, let's do this.
Yeah.
We're brothers in arms, really fighting the battle. And we, like you mentioned, we can't run away from our challenges. We got to run to them. And I love the fact that you said with joy, with, I like to say, like, with excitement, with passion. It's all that stuff's important, because when we do that, we impact our kids, and they see our struggle. They see our struggle, they see our battle, and we're able to impact each other. And then one person on here might be listening. You might one day help me out.
You know what I mean?
So,
you know what I mean?
Right? Yes. This is where we're helping each other out. We're a community. So, I just appreciate you sharing these value bombs, these gems, these diamonds, because us as men, we need them. So if we need to find you, like, where do we find you at with all that you're doing?
Well, I'm slowly getting rid of my title name, which is Professor Locke. I want to I kind of say, after my mentor, like, I want to lead this life without needing a gravestone. So I want to get my name to just Brice. But if you want to find me, it's Professor Locke everywhere. YouTube channel. I'm trying to figure that out right now, so I'll get there at some point. But there's still good stuff on there, I think. But I primarily use Instagram, and every now and again I'll throw something up on TikTok. But because I still feel weird about that. I feel like I'm a grown man. I shouldn't be on TikTok. But at the same time, there's stuff for grown men on there too that works. So it's any good information and a lot of motivational stuff on there. But primarily Instagram, Professor Locke. Also, if you're interested in the Grooves Before Moves program, I have a link in my bio on Instagram that takes you to my schedule on Calendly, and from there you can get a free consultation, and we can talk about the program and see if it's right for you. What I will say, if you're not a dancer, is don't let the fact that it's dance inspired make you think that it's not for you. Dance taught me principles that work all across the board. And just like if you went to education for sports psychology, you would use what that taught you in order to help people out. My education is dance. So I use the principles in Groove to help do the same thing a sports psychologist or any other coach would do. I just do it from the principles that I found through Groove. So don't let that discourage you. Don't come in here like, oh, I'm not a dancer. I'm not here to make you some cool dancer. What I'm here is to make you an effective dancer in your own life. And that is what I'm here to do.
Right on, right on. Well, there you have it, y'all. Thank you to all of our audience for joining us for this amazing episode about parenting to help you navigate through your own personal journey. I'd like to invite you to check out Dad's Parenting Boldly Facebook group today for more on how you can succeed with parenting and win with dad parenting. Check us out, and we will see you on the next episode.